The book I want to show you today is The Stress of Chess and Its Infinite Finesse by Walter Brown, a grandmaster that made this biography, my life, career and 101 best games. I will try to give you about the 10% of the games, that could be around 10-15 games, to give you an idea of the content, but you buy this book mainly for the anecdotes, mainly for the pictures, because here you can see a picture of Fischer in the bottom playing against Brown Blitz in the 1972. So imagine that. That's why we buy this book. But this is the great thing, you see, the book price was like $34, right? $34.95. Well, I paid it $15. And this is a used book, but the only thing I can see is a little damage here, and in my opinion it was made by the mailman. The mailman is the criminal in this case, because he mistreated the book. The funny thing of these books that I'm buying and they are used is that they are new. It seems that the owners all died before reading them. And I paid $15 for a book that is more than 400 pages. Okay? So honestly, I'm very happy. And to tell you the truth, reading about this guy, the games are heavily annotated. That's a fact. Then the thing is, when you read him, you realize how hard was the life of a chess professional in that time, because he had to remember everything. There was no chess base. He had to actually make his own analysis. There was no phone that was giving you the answer because you have Stockfish 15 or 17 just downloaded. He had to find the answer for himself. So that's the great thing. And honestly, opening preparation, amazing. In some cases it tells you that they blitz the first 15 moves. And then they started to think. So clearly they had an amazing opening preparation. Okay, with this said, I don't want to bore you with more details. Let me show you the game, one of the game I want to show you, okay? So the game I would like to show you first is game 11. It was between Walter Brown, white, and Sergio Mariotti, black. Here, for each game, he gives a brief introduction. This game was played in Venice, 1971. Sergio Mariotti was one of the most talented Italian players ever, who had an adventurous style. Coming clear second in this prestigious event was probably his best result ever. So we must understand, 1970 Italy had this chess tournament. Why? Because Italy was partly under the influence of US and partly under the influence of the Soviet Union with the Communist Party. The Communist Party obviously believed that chess was, like in the Soviet Union, one intellectual thing to develop the personality and show that the communism was the best system. And that's why they generally tried to sponsor chess tournaments, okay? Plus Venice, it's a very ancient city, a beautiful city, and obviously probably they also wanted to have tourism. So let's start. Brown start with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, bishop c5. The classical variation, despite the fact that it's never been immensely popular, there exists a fair amount of theory on this system. Nowadays it even appears occasionally in the games of elite grandmasters, and Ivan Sokolov often uses it. Castle. Here there is a line that he says instead of playing c3 against Sokolov by Motilev in 2010. So we see that the book is clearly recent in a sense, because the game is from 1971, but the analysis probably 2010. Knight g e7. And here it says, although Italy has a long history with chess, thinks of a term gambito and fianchetto, ma non è gambito, è gambetto, and fianchetto, and the venerable Giuoco Piano opening, which is the Italian game. For many years, Sergio Mariotti was its only grandmaster in modern times, till recently. Like the fearless gunslinging heroes of that land spaghetti western, he battled in winner-take-all style, even against the top GM. Here it says that knight f6 is considered more reliable, and he is going to quote a game between Lecco and Anand in 2010 that was however draw in 28 moves. So okay, let's go. How does white continue here? Well, there is a well-known tactic, right? Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, d4, oops, c6, bishop e2, and a reasonable alternative obviously is bishop a4. But again, I am not here to show you the opening theory. I would like, or at least I'm more interested in the middle game and the end game. Also, if he clearly put a lot of opening theory inside here. Bishop d6, and here he shows what happens on d5, that white gains a clear edge, okay? D takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now try to think a little. This is for him, he says it's a strong novelty, but I don't know if it's a novelty from the 1970, which means today is not a novelty at all. However, it's a move that helps you to take control of the center, because in the beginning of a game you want to take control of the center, right? So the move is c4, because obviously he wants to fight for d5. And here it says, a very strong novelty, as the natural thing d7, d5 doesn't lead to equality. The alternatives confer a special advantage. And he says an alternative was this, f4. And he gives a line, okay? Yet, Mariotti played d5. And here it says, after this move, the computer thinks white has a small plus. It considers even castle or knight g6 to be more reliable routes to equality. Here it doesn't tell us which computer he used, but again, if the book is from when? 2012, clearly it was a stockfish from a long time ago, right? Because we are in 12 years later, and so obviously it's possible that what it was thought by the computer then is not the same of today. Okay, after d5, e takes d5, c takes d5, and knight c3. Obviously, it's increasing the pressure on d5. And here there was the possibility to play d takes c4, but Mariotti didn't want to exchange queens. Instead, he played d4. As you can see, there is, in my opinion, a problem when you have a book commented or annotated by a grandmaster that is clearly as strong as Brown was, but that unfortunately he lost the touch with a club player, the touch with a beginner. This is a technical thing. For example, why he didn't analyze this? Why not? I mean, right, it seems it creates a very bad pawn structure for white, right? So why he didn't analyze this? I'm not saying that that move is good, but I'm pretty sure that in an amateur club player tournament in the weekend, this would be the fourth move black plays, right? Instead, Mariotti played d4, okay? Knight e4, and here there is a mistake by Mariotti, which is f5. It was better, obviously, to castle. f5, why it's bad? Because again, it creates a real weakness on this diagonal. It creates a big problem on the light squares, not really what you want to play. Knight g5, h6, knight f3, bishop f6, and here there is c5. So here we have a diagram. In this diagram, he says the weakness is along the e file and the a2 g8 diagonal, and black inability to get his queen bishop and queen rook develop add up to a crushing burden for the Italian, for Mariotti. But in reality, you need to see this. Look at here, how many holes that he has created, right? Not only this one, which exists. And then c5, he has created even a outpost on a dark square. Maybe plays bishop f4, bishop d6, I don't know. Then here there is a majority, a queen side majority, that white could use to create a pass pawn. Clearly, you know now how to evaluate this position, and you know that white is better, right? So, with that said, let's continue to see the game. Castle. Here, not Mariotti, Brown showed this line, but he says that it's even worse. So I don't know, but I want to see a little of the game, enjoy the game. Bishop c4, King h7, and now please pause the video and try to think what will be your next move. I am trying to spoil you, telling you one thing. Generally, it's the knight that stays here and protects everything, but the bishop is not protecting anything. The knight here is not in a great position, okay? So what do you think white played in this position? White played knight g5, check, boom. And here, what do you do? Now, if you play h take g5, the next move is checkmate, right? It cannot go anywhere. So you cannot take h take g5. Now you need to calculate two other possible moves. One is king g6 and the other is bishop take g5, right? Bishop takes g5, queen c7 to unpin this. Again, you cannot take because queen h5 is checkmate, okay? So you unpin the knight e7 here, but then after this, tack, tack, and tack, quite simple, right? As you can see. Here it says, and white central control and extra pawn triumph handily. So this is the reality, okay? That white has an extra pawn for black, and so he says, is able to convert that advantage into a one game. Now, if you are not Mr. Brown, but he was a grandmaster that played with a lot of top players like Fischer, Karpov, Spassky, etc., maybe you may not know how to convert that little advantage of one pawn into a one game, right? But Brown says he can. In this position for him, he is won. So let's go back. Okay, so we have seen this amazing move by white, knight g5, and we saw that bishop takes g5 is not the correct one. Black needs to play king g6. And so what does white play now? He played knight f3, and he tells us this following story, and that's why we like to buy a book like this, right? Because it's a kind of biography and we enter into his thoughts. He says, yes, I've given him a chance to repeat the position by moving his king back. But he had to lose some time weighing all the options. In that case, I had a strong continuation, which was knight e6. May have been my original intention, but it would have better chances than in the game with bishop takes e6. So he says that if he played this again, attack, he then would have played this move. And after it queen c7. So that's it, okay? Instead, after knight f3, in fact, black didn't go back, and he could have done it. He plays queen a5. Black seeks a material gain in case he survives the coming storm. Okay, let's see what happens. Knight f4, queen takes c5, and rook c1. And this is very scary, right? Bishop f7, discovery check, he gets the queen. Black has lost several tempi grabbing this pawn while neglecting development, a price he can ill afford. And he played queen b6, rook e1. Now, at this point, please stop for a second and watch the position. He has two centralized rooks, while black still has this never moved, and this never moved, and we are at move 20. So move 20, you didn't move 8 as a material, you understand you are -8, right? That's a fact. Now, it's true, this kind of advantage is temporary, but it's possible that white will be able to exploit it, right? So let's see how white exploits that. Knight c6, bishop d6, attacking this, rook d8, bishop c5. Oh, what a beautiful move, right? You cannot take. Why? Bishop f7 check, boom, and it takes your queen. Very good. Now, however, you have two possibilities, right? One is here and one is here. In the game, black played queen a5, but it seems for brown this was the best one. Now, the problem is that it's not brown, but he used a computer, so probably the computer found that move. Okay? Okay, now, if you are white, what would you play now? Because as you can see, these are the real deal. This is why you will improve in chess if you watch these games and you try to find the moves, because these are real games, not those statics that you find because the moves are all fours and so you cannot miss them, right? So what do you play as white now? White played b4, and it says the hits keep on coming. Black cannot survive if white continues correctly. Well, this is a story, yeah. In fact, if you continue to make the right move, at a certain point the opponent will make a mistake. Okay, so how does black continue? Yeah? It seems at this point also queen c7 wasn't keeping in the game. He played knight takes b4, okay, queen b3, attacking this twice, knight c6, and now there is a beautiful move by white, and this you might have seen it in some kind of tactic training. That's true. Okay, that's true. Why? Because it's a beautiful move that practically takes away the escape square to the black king and threatens to give checkmate. Bishop g8. Boom. This is control. This is control. This is the next move. It's checkmate because you cannot go, right? Checkmate. So what do you do here? Unfortunately, you have to take. You have to take. Now, there was, and here I will let you with an exercise, what would you have done if he played this kind of move, rook d7. Now, keep in mind that every move you play has a consequence. So, if here this square was controlled by this bishop, if you play here, it's not controlled anymore. So, how would you have continued? Well, it seems that knight h4 was the move to play, okay? Bishop takes h4, queen e6, bishop f6, queen e8, king g5, f4, king takes f4, queen h5, and practically there is a beautiful checkmate in 2. But let's say that you are not able to see it, okay? And you should be able to see it, okay? You should be able to see it. Let me do the moves over, okay? Knight h4, bishop takes h4, queen e6, bishop f6, queen e8, king g5, f4, king takes f4, and now queen h5. And here it says a beautiful aesthetic finish with a checkmate in 2. Checkmate in 2 moves. Okay? So what do you do here if you are black, let's say? Yeah? What do you play? I don't know. Let's say that you play, I don't know. Because the problem is, what do you play against this? I don't see a way to stop the g3. That is the problem. Because I thought this, but this takes. This, but that takes. So I don't know. I don't really see it. If you play this, you can take. You cannot go anywhere. So it's even terrible. No, I don't know. g3, it's a problem, right? Okay, well, I don't see anything. If you see something, please let me know. Okay, now we are just few moves from the end of a game. Let's see how it ended. Okay, I hope that I put the position back as it was. So we saw what happens with rook d7 to try to stop the checkmate here, and so black played rook takes g8. After queen takes g8, d3, obviously he wants to push the pass pawn, but probably is not enough. Why? Because h4, h5, and now there is a slight mistake. He could have finished the game with queen e8. Instead, he played rook e d1, rook b8, bishop d6, and rook a8. But here, realizing his king was tossed after a capture on d3, he promptly resigned. So how his king is tossed after he captures on d3? That's it. Rook takes d3. Right? What does he play? Okay. So this is the problem. Rook g3. Probably. So what can he play to avoid rook g3? Let's see, knight e5. Just to try, Knight takes e5. Bishop takes e5 because I prevent that. I give a square, right? If he plays this, check, tack, tack. I don't know, maybe it goes here, and then maybe this is the game over, right? So I'm not using an engine. Maybe an engine will see a checkmate line right away that I didn't see, sorry. But at least we see how you could play actually in the game if you were a chess player in a weekend tournament, right? So this was game number 11. I hope to show you many more games of this beautiful book that I hope you will enjoy too, okay? Because honestly you can find it for maybe 10 bucks, 15 bucks like me, and so you can enjoy a 400 pages book with more than 100 games.